Hello and welcome to Trolls of the Two Tonne Bridges, or TOTTB. My name is John, and I will be your Percival Silverlight today. Thank you so much for all of the well wishes and happy birthdays that we've received on our 1 year anniversary. It is hugely appreciated, and here's to the next however many episodes it takes us to get to the end of Tomb of Annihilation. At this rate, it's going to be another 5 years or so. This week, the party is split. Silaqui is on her own, and the rest are in the bathhouse. Adventure.
The Log of Percival Silverlight. As I have well documented in my previous journals and books, I am an individual that enjoys some activity in his day. Running, calisthenics, lifting great weights. These are all things I have seen other people do. I, of course, prefer to have others run for me. There are times, however, when one must put aside their desire to sit. And adventure fits snugly into that particular cubbyhole. Apparently, we are in pursuit of a cloaked individual through the back alleys of Port Nyanzaru. Silaqui has head south, whilst Zibby, Rana and myself went north. Rana, in dog form, seemed to believe that there was reason to head into the bathhouse, where we were but a few days ago. We assume he has the scent of the perpetrator. As soon as he went into the bathhouse, however, he was forcibly ejected. Rana made his feelings on the matter clear by urinating on the entrance to the bathhouse. I remind you, dear reader, that he was indeed still in dog form. Adventure!
You came round to get to Zibby. Zibby decided to run the other way and grab you as he was going, and then Rana came down and got knocked for 12.
Yeah. I was thinking of running in there and saying, "Hands off my dog, woman!"
Ah, okay.
It did cross my mind for that as well.
Which would still have happened. So what would have happened with it? So hang on. So you would have seen him run past.
I'm happy for him to get knocked back.
I'm not going to retrospectively add that. However, because you haven't actually taken a turn, Percival. Really, you could decide in sort of like a split second, just decide. Right, I'm just going to go in and back up Rana here.
I was intending to do that. Obviously, Rana has decided to turn into human form.
There is that. However, because if you're coming up to say, don't hit my dog, it would then be a bit weird if he then turned into a human.
Well, to be honest, let's run with that. Let's still go with that.
It's like, my God, you've discovered his secret. He's a were-human.
He's a dog that turns into a human at every full moon.
There's just so much wrong with this. This is the
Anytime
weird thing
the
with
dog
Goofy
gets
as well.
hit, he turns human again. Stop hitting him.
Where he goes, I go. Anyway, so the masseuse's looking quite awkward at both the fact that she appears to have hit a prospective customer's dog, and also that dog was apparently human. What did I say?
A perspective, as opposed to a perspective. Yeah.
Well, a prospective customer's dog. And I said, yeah, and a prospective customer.
Okay.
Yeah, that too. Yes, and a prospective customer. Yes. It's just the embarrassment is intensifying. While presumably Zibby is in the background somewhere going, "Oh, jeez."
Now tell me, where did the man in the cloak go?
So, as you're sort of addressing this, we will snap back to Silaqui, just because I feel like if we deal with Silaqui, then we come back to this, and we still sort of keep that rough 6 seconds apiece going.
Yeah.
So, Silaqui, you are running up to the top of the gates, and you do find that there is, just to your right, there is, quite helpfully, a group of people sort of like huddled together chatting, all of whom appear to have black cloaks on.
Oh,
God.
In the middle of a black cloak convention.
The Assassin's Creed effect of just kind of like, where's a group of monks? Oh, that'll do.
So that's with through the threshold, isn't it? So could she see anyone else around, or is it just some cloaky
It's
people?
just them. They are in this whole chase, they are apart from the actual like pursuer, a person you were pursuing even, they are the first people that you've seen. And they are sort of standing there. You see one or two Chultan men and women sort of glance towards you as you come up, but they're obviously, they're trying to huddle out of the rain while they're discussing whatever it is they're discussing.
Silaqui's going to suddenly be playing it cool. And she's just going to, she's going to stop running, but she's going to walk a bit like more of a type thing.
Nonchalantly.
But, so what side are they on the right, did you say?
They are on your right, yes. So they are sort of tucked into this little corner here.
Okay, so she's going to start walking this way.
Mm-hmm.
But she's keeping an ear out for them, and, she's going to do shit like, oh, this building, was that the right building? Basically anything she can to slightly look over her shoulder towards them to try and work out what they are. Are they a cult? What are they? Sort of while kind of subtly walking this direction. She's basically eventually trying to get around this side to kind of,
Okay.
Is it walking the opposite direction?
Yeah.
I guess so. You're trying to work out what their intentions are, whilst being nonchalant. Okay, so
What's the D&D equivalent of constantly checking your phone and thinking, oh yeah,
Doing your lace up, doing your shoes.
Somebody
even though
must
she
be
wears
voting.
slipper things.
I think you're constantly checking your sundial watch.
Yes.
Oh damn! I didn't recharge. Yeah.
I guess it's another perception, and I guess sleight of hand if you're trying to do it nonchalantly. Roll of perception to essentially work out what's going on.
Do you want me to start one first? Yeah. So that would be 22.
That'd be 22, and then a sleight of hand if you're trying to do it nonchalantly to make it look like you're not trying to check them out.
Sleight of hand is 7 and 10.
10. Okay, so you don't quite manage to pull off the nonchalant look, if I'm honest. The fact that you're a bit winded from having run, not very much so. Obviously, you're a monk, you're quite fit, so
But still, there are some steep stairs.
there's some goddamn steep stairs.
You danced all the way
so
up
yeah,
them.
you're still kind of like
Exactly.
you don't quite pull off the just taking a stroll in this downpour.
This lovely day.
However, you do get a good old look at the people, and in general, I sort of assume your surroundings as well. The people they're talking amongst themselves. A few of them still sort of like glance over at you, but it's more kind of like as they look up, you can see it's sort of like it's a quizzical look. It doesn't register as malicious. As you sort of move away, it gets a little harder to tell, but you don't think it's your quarry. You think they were just standing there chatting about whatever they're chatting. Probably business from the few scraps you manage to hear as you go past them. But as you're sort of walking away from them, it is quite difficult to tell. It's still vaguely possible that one of them might be the quarry that you were after, because again, you didn't really get a good look at what the quarry themselves looked like. You just saw that they were a person in a black hood and cloak.
Yeah.
However, as you're sort of having a look around, you do see that there are a couple other people out and about. You can see there are some actual guards walking the walls. But you're looking up, you're now on the other side of the wall, so you're sort of on the side that doesn't have the battlements. Mm-hmm. And you do see there's one or two, men at their posts. In the streets, it's generally quiet, but you do also catch, for a second, you see, up on the wall, it takes you a second to work out who it is, but with your perception, you do realise that it is one of the assassins who is very definitely looking right at you. If you maybe look away to try and just, again, be nonchalant, you look back, and they've gone.
It's not unsettling. Okay, so and where would they stood? What part of this wall?
They were sort of up here,
Okay.
and they at first seemed to be surveying just the street, but then you realise, as I say, they were definitely looking at you.
They're being
and
better
sort
at
of
being
tracking
nonchalant,
you.
basically, than I was.
Yeah, they were, but
Yeah.
you still managed to spot them.
Yeah.
So knowing that, you're sort of nonchalantly walking this way. Is there anything else you're sort of thinking or wanting to move towards?
So she's going to slightly speed up, but she's basically she's going to do a lap, and yeah, she's going to do a lap for now because she can't call to the others. So yeah, she's just going to sort of carry on walking, but keep her wits about her.
Okie dokie. So while you're doing a lap of the Hall of Gold, back with Percival, Zibby, and Rana, the no longer a dog, the masseuse in front of you is apologising profusely, but perhaps you guys are going to run over it? Let's see, who's going to go? I'd say Percival, because you kind of didn't really get your go last turn. Let's start with you. So what are you going to say or do at this point?
Where's the man in the cloak? Tell me where they've gone.
So the masseuse looks to you and says, "Man in a cloak? I told you," and as presumably Zibby, you're sort of coming up to join them.
Yeah, I'm right behind, yeah.
As you sort of come up, he says, "Like I told your associate here. I've seen no men in black cloaks here."
Has anybody come through here at all, though? Within the last few moments?
In the last few moments, not that I am.
Other than my bearded friend here?
And the dog.
Not that I am aware of. And what I would like all of you to do, well, I say all of you, all three of you standing here to do, is to make me an insight roll.
Oh.
Insight.
Oh, God.
Huh.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, but dude, you got a natural 1.
Oh, I was going to say, Rana, you could actually make yours at advantage.
And I did as well.
At advantage?
Yeah, you can actually make yours at advantage.
Oh, okay, that's useful. Thank you. 4.
No.
Oh, for God's sake,
No
Rana.
way.
Double natural 1.
Dude, I got a natural 1 as well.
Did you? Yes. What are the odds?
And Zibby, you got what?
Natural 20.
You got the natural 20, yeah?
It's all in you, Zibby.
So, Percival,
Yes.
you have the impression that you and Rana, actually, for that matter, have the impression that Rana was just confused and had no real reason for coming into the bathroom, and you are convinced, you would stake your life on it, that this man is telling the truth and is just awkward because he's just smacked somebody with a broom who was disguised as a dog.
I'm very sorry.
However, Zibby, you notice that this hallway, humid as it is from the Chorlton weather, isn't really going to be responsible for the amount of sweat that has broken out across that man's forehead, as he tells you that he has seen no one in the last few moments.
Zibby's going to turn to him and goes, I asked you before, where's the man in a black cloak?
Zibby, this man's obviously the most truthful person in Cholt.
Percy, shut up a minute. Where has he gone?
Make me an intimidation, because I feel that's exactly what you're doing right now. Is that a fair estimation? Yep.
Zibby's
Intimidation.
getting angry.
Intimidation. Please don't roll a natural 1. I was like, oh, please tell me. Please tell me. It's a 19 plus 3, so 22.
Wow. 22. Yeah. No, that's more than enough.
Bearing in mind, he's like 5'6". I'm 6'3". Yeah.
As you are sort of literally bearing down on this man, all three of you cannot fail to notice that the broom starts to shake quite a bit in his hands, and eyes are trying to dart away from Zibby, but seem to be almost getting pulled back in by the intensity of his stare. There is even, somewhere in the background, a roll of thunder.
There always is.
There always is with Zibby.
Terrible tummy trouble.
Honestly, I have no, please don't hurt me, please. No, we're paid not to say anything.
Nobody has to know. Just tell me, where did the man go?
Just don't say I told you. And he just jerks his head towards the changing room.
Right.
Silaqui, we are going to cut back to you now, because again, trying to keep the balance of, things happening simultaneously. So, Silaqui, you have made your way around the Hall of Gold, and you actually have made your way around to the entrance to the Hall of Gold, which is also hanging open. Apparently, it sounds like, from what you catch as you sort of go past, there is some sort of ceremony going on inside there at the moment. But you are now round to this point here, if you're looking at the map.
Can I see anything in the entrance without going in?
Not that you can see, no. Certainly there's no sign of anybody having just run in or anything like that. As sort of glancing in, you see a sort of vast round building, in the centre of which appears to be this sort of altar. But you only get like a brief glimpse as you're sort of looking in. If you want, you can move inside and see more. But it's up to you. You've got the gate on your left-hand side, or of course the path continues round to the right around the building.
If I look around me first, is there anybody around me that I need to be wary of?
As you look around, you do not see anybody on the streets. However, you can make another perception roll if you'd like, as you sort of moved a little further on. 16. As you have a look around, if you see the guards patrolling on the walls, but other than that, you see nobody else in the street and nobody else that seems particularly in any way suspicious or worrisome.
So in that case, she is going to ever so slightly step through, but not very far in there. She just really wants to peep cautiously. She doesn't want to just walk in there.
So, as you sort of step inside, the impression that you get is almost like it's a room full of gold. There is gold embroidery on the carpets that line the hall floors. There are golden filigree on the doors and in the columns that support the massive dome that stretches up above you. This room, it's gorgeous, and as you realise, as a sort of verse suddenly rises from the masses within, really good acoustics as well in here, which, again, not being anything to do with acoustics, I have no idea if that actually works or not, but I'm going to say it does. Like you've just walked into the middle of mass, there are people in song praising their god, not necessarily in a language you understand, Silaqui.
Yeah.
But you can still sort of appreciate the sort of the harmonies that are going on, and you can see in the centre of the room there is that altar, which peculiarly is a rounded altar, so that the figure with a little cane to support her is sort of walking around as she chants with her audience. Her flock, so to speak, is this woman that is clearly running the service. However, as you are only sort of moving slightly, that's kind of what you see. Are you looking for anything in particular as you look in, or are you going to sort of pause here to have a look at what's going on?
Is there anything on like an altar? Can I see what they're worshipping, or is there anybody I recognise?
I'm going to say no. Hold on, actually. Let me just double check something.
Okay.
Above board, I'm making all of this up as I go along.
We wouldn't expect anything less.
I had no plans for you to walk into the Hall of Gold at all.
Surprise!
Hold on, let me just check something quickly. You don't see anything you necessarily recognise. However, what you do recognise is that there's this mass going on. Having been raised by monks, you know the sort of the look and the feel of ceremony, but this is a lot more grandiose, I think, than anything you saw at the monastery. And what you can notice and sort of pick out is that there appears to be one individual who is seated rather more grandiosely than the rest of the masses. The rest of the masses are all sort of collected together, kneeling, facing the altar. This one particular figure, however, is in another sort of golden filigree box, which is set ever so slightly higher at the back, but higher than the rest of the audience. And with a quick sort of look across with your elven eyes, you see that it is quite an old Cholton woman, quite greyed hair, head bowed in prayer, chanting along with the rest of the masses. That is what Silaqui gets to see. Back at the bathhouse, Zibby, you have just been motioned by this masseuse towards the changing rooms. Rana and Percival, you guys have picked up on the fact that this guy has clearly been intimidated into revealing something to Zibby. You get the sort of sense that this is actually we've been almost hoodwinked here. But Thankfully, our friend Zibby here has seen through this charlatan's charade.
What's your name? I'm very disappointed in you.
That's a very odd name.
I want to give your name to the manager. I want to see the manager right now.
Can we not involve anyone else, please? Just, if you're going to do something, just go on ahead, but just leave me out of it. And he sort of backs into his little corner with his broom, almost as if holding it as if he's going to defend himself, but it's a very weak grip he's got.
I think Rana will just pretty much just sort of. I think Rana's already made quite a big statement by urinating on the guy's porch.
I mean, that is, yeah.
That's definitely a statement.
Somebody's going to have to clean that up.
It's not going to be Rana. I mean, it's a power play, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's assert dominance. First thing you do, whip it out, urinate on the floor. Just as a first thing to do.
As a house guest, yes.
Yes, no, just no, not as a house guest. But if you approach someone's house and they physically hurl you from the property with a broom, then I think it's an appropriate response. So
I think it's free for all. Then
I think Rana will just basically mutter angrily under his breath in Cholton, and he will just sort of stalk forward to stand sort of just behind Zibby's shoulder and basically follow Zibby's lead.
Yeah, same.
Okie dokie. Zibby, I assume you are going to head for the changing rooms?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You open up and you find yourself in the men's changing rooms. There doesn't appear to be anyone in there. You sort of have a look around. There are a couple of bits and pieces here and there, clearly sort of like personal belongings that some people haven't wanted taken away by the masseuses and have rather just sort of left in the public changing area. Well, what do you want to do? There's nobody in the changing room just now, but there is a door on the other side that leads out to the bathing rooms.
Have a quick look around, see if there's any clothes just dumped on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Give me an investigation. Which, of course, because the others are there, if you're all having an investigation, you can have that advantage, because they're presumably helping you.
Yes.
I would hope so. Mm-hmm. Bloody useless intimidating the guy at the front, but...
Yeah.
6, it's an 11 and a 16, so 16.
16, okie dokie. So, you have a look on around. You don't see the cloak that you were looking for, but there are a pair of boots that are quite muddy and look sort of fairly freshly muddy in one corner that do catch your eye.
Okay.
What size are they? You think they'll fit?
I don't think they're as nice as yours.
Why, thank you.
They are a size 6.
No, far too small.
Yeah, it's canon now. Percival has boats for feet.
I feel like that's a rather peculiar way of walking around here.
Oh, yes. He won't sink, though.
So what are you guys doing? You have a pair of boots that look quite muddy.
Okay, so the pair of boots, so they just left there. Do they look like they just abandoned, or have they been placed?
They look like they've been placed. As I say, you've turned up the fact that they look like they have only recently been taken off, and the fact that they are still wet from outside.
Yeah,
and appear to be sort of like the wettest ones there. Okay, so that's what I'm saying there. Is they look placed, but yeah, they look the wettest.
I would like to.
So you're looking for a person with small feet.
Yeah, size 6 feet.
Whose shoes are these?
Yeah. I would like to just open the door to the main to the actual bathhouse, and I'd just like to peek through and see if I can see anybody that's sort of hurriedly kind of wandering about, or anybody acting suspiciously. Essentially, just check it out.
You head over to the door. You open it up a crack to look on through, and we are going to flick back to Silaqui to find out what is happening with her. So, Silaqui, what are you going to do? Standing in the doorway, sort of looking in towards this mass. What are you about? What are you thinking?
So, she's wondering, the person who sat on the higher plinthy thing, she's wondering whether that is in fact Xantho, given the description. She's going to clock what this woman looks like, because she's assuming that's Xantho. But she's still not going to, because it's still a holy place and it's not really her place to be in. She's kind of almost mentally taking pictures in her mind of the room, and the people and stuff. But she's going to walk back out.
Are you casing the joint?
Yeah, just being subtle.
There's one person that gives you a sort of sideways glance as you leave, just like, what are you doing?
It is the House of Gold, after all.
Oh, this isn't the kebab shop. I'm very sorry. Whoops.
I'm sorry, I took a wrong turning.
It's the post office. Whoops.
As you step back out onto the street, as I assume you are.
Mm-hmm. Explosion. No, but.
As you take a step outside, Silaqui, you see nothing. There's nobody about, and there does not appear to be anyone suspicious nearby.
Oh, I hate these rolls.
Okay.
I know.
This makes her more suspicious.
Back-
It's so quiet.
Back at the bathhouse, Percival, you crack open the door, have a glance in, and you see a far more packed bathhouse than the last time you guys came. When you last came, it was actually fairly empty. This time you sort of look in, and there's almost no room in the bath to actually get in and sit around the edges. There are a good maybe 30, possibly 40 men and women all in this bathhouse. And I'd like you to roll a sleight of hand, please.
Oh. Just rolling.
You winning?
12.
12. Okie dokie. Bear with me.
Wow.
I know. Okay, yep. So you managed to do that successfully. You don't think anyone has especially noticed you just peeking around the door at all of these, well, frankly, naked people. That could have been peculiar.
Yeah. Peeping Percy.
However, you do see the sheer number of people, and you are struck by the sense that you're not entirely sure how you're going to work out who amongst these people might have been your quarry. Silaqui, what are you up to?
On the map, am I this side? Where's the entrance to the...
Yeah, so on the map, you are at the sort of southeast corner. So you can sort of see there's 4 little turret areas around the Hall of Gold. Given the size of this map, Silaqui, I'm not sure measuring the distances is going to do masses for you.
I'm just looking how far she can run.
Again, you're going to need to zoom in quite far to work out how far you can run. If you're saying you're just going to sort of head off that way, you can say that, and we'll leave you walking and cut back to the gents while you're sort of wandering.
Well, I wasn't going to walk. I was kind of going to dash because.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. Yeah, so
you know,
if you want to,
she's in strange grounds where strange people are.
Something you would know from your previous sort of wanderings around Chult is that the Giggling Squid is down here. So the walkway you're planning on running across, if you go down the left-hand set of stairs here, that is like a set of stairs that will lead you down to the sort of street food kind of area that's outside the Giggling Squid. Just as a sort of by the by, I don't know if you're trying to head for familiar ground or something, because obviously at the moment you don't actually know where the rest of your party have got to. You haven't heard...
I mean, she knows from here, from there. Oh, hang on, got the ruler back.
You know from there.
So I told them to go right. So I know they're probably around the right-hand side somewhere.
Yeah, so it's up to you whether you want to go try and meet back up with them, or whether you want to go somewhere else entirely.
I might go towards the Giggling Squid at haste to start with, just because.
Okie dokie then, right.
Don't want to die.
I will have you sort of as you're wandering over that way, give me another perception roll.
Okay, here it goes,
guys. Because I'm sort of assuming, because of the way you're describing your feeling of being a bit nervous, I'm assuming you're kind of looking around as you go.
Yeah, this may be Silaqui's epitaph, but we shall see. Oh, natural 20! Woo!
Excellent. You're going to definitely see that bolt.
I'm going to see myself die. Yeah.
You see perfectly as the blade slides into your guts.
Ow, it was you all along. If only I had people around me to tell. Dead. Yeah. So natural 20 and 5 for perception, so 25.
Of course. As you head out towards the walkway, you have a look around you. Given the heavy downpour, you have a surprisingly good vision and have a decent look to sort of see a wide spread of both the inside courtyard where, I say courtyard, this sort of ring of wall where the Hall of Gold is. Again,
battlements?
Streets. Yeah, battlements, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of what they are.
In a city, yeah.
You see men going about their watches on top of the battlements, keeping the peace. The streets themselves, however, are quite empty. There's the occasional sort of flutter here and there. You're pretty sure you see a whip around of a flying serpent at one point. Sort of goes flying off in the distance. But other than that, you don't see any other strange or unassuming movements.
Okay, so far, still alive. All good.
We will leave Silaqui as she's sort of heading towards the giggling squid and go back to the gents. So, first of all, you have just stuck your face around the door, and Zibby, you've just picked up a pair of boots. Rana, I'm not entirely sure what you're doing right now. What would you guys like to sort of discuss or do?
Rana motions towards the door, well, sort of points at the boots and then motions towards the door and says, "Our quarry must be in there."
So, do you think those are his boots?
Rana looks at them and then sort of shrugs and says, "The boots are wet. It is raining outside. We know that he came in here. I believe they are his."
It's also a bathhouse. It's wet in here.
Rana sort of acknowledges that and says, "Yeah, no, that's true," but just sort of nods.
Do you think then that it might be wise? Because, to be honest with you, there's no way I'm going to be able to tell who these shoes belong to in there unless we really fancy getting all a bit Cinderella with it. There's so many people in there that I don't know who these boots are going to belong to. Do you think it's wise for us to kind of hang back and see who takes the boots later?
Rana says, "It's a good idea," he says. "But it will look strange, will it not? All of those in there will come into here to get changed, and we are all here with arms and armour." And he sort of motions to Zibby's hammer.
Zibby's already got naked.
He still gestures at the hammer. It's fine.
Holding his hammer.
I was just going to say, Rana gestures more meaningfully with a broad sweep of his arm to indicate Zibby's hammer, and says, "It will look strange, will it not? Better perhaps to mix with those inside and see if there is something we can learn."
Perhaps. Rana, is there a possibility, though, that you could wait in the form of, I don't know, a spider, like a small one, not the big one you usually do, like a tiny one, or maybe a mosquito, or a fly, or maybe one of those small iguanas? No, maybe not.
Rana sort of shakes out his hands and cracks his knuckles slightly, and he puts his hand out in front of him and he closes his eyes, and he's obviously focusing very, very hard, and you can see all the veins in his hands stand up, and his hands start shaking with the tension in the ligaments in his hands. And sort of bead of sweat sort of forms and then sort of drips off his chin. And then Rana...
I didn't mean it, Rana.
Rana sighs and shakes his head and says, "There will be no more shaping for me." He says, "Not until I have rested." And then he looks around meaningfully and says, "And find something to eat." And just starts rooting around the edge of the room, just like poking around any corners and cubby holes to see if anyone's left a steak
sandwich
anywhere.
Yeah,
roll me an investigation.
Yeah, excellent. Not great. That'll be a 5.
That'll be a no then. No, it doesn't. And to be honest, quite rightly so. Very few people coming to the bathhouse would A, bring food with them, and B, leave it in the unattended in the locking room.
That's because
You do,
they're
however,
silly.
remember from last time.
Silaqui would.
You do remember from last time, however, that there are the sort of there's not masses, but users of the bathhouse are occasionally offered like little treats and stuff like that, like sort of nibbled foods and drinks. So there is food in the house somewhere, but it's not here.
Rana mostly loses interest after making his suggestion, and even though he doesn't find any food, he basically just shuffles backwards and forwards awkwardly and just keeps glancing towards the door, where he thinks there might be food, but he doesn't leave. He stays there for the time being, but his patience is wearing thin.
Fair enough.
Percival reaches into his knapsack and pulls out I don't know, something like jerky from a ration and just hands it to Rana.
There you go. That'll tide you over.
Rana says thank you very, very quickly in Chalton, snatches the jerky and just basically stuffs the entire handful into his face, like actually uses his thumbs to physically force it into his cheeks because he can't fit the pieces in without them being chewed, and basically stuffs his cheeks like a sort of a terrifying sort of scarred hamster.
This isn't the start of a shape change into a hamster, is it?
Rana attempts to say what is hamster, but it's just a garbled mess of sort of spittle and flecks of like pepper.
Quick, Zibby, he's changing.
But yes, that's right. Rana will just.
That's Rana's piece.
Yeah, that's him sorted out. He'll just sit there and just chew quietly. Well, I'll say quietly. He'll attempt to chew without any respect to the sensibilities of others.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So Percival and Zibby, is there anything in particular you guys want to do? Then do you want to like take a particular action? Not as in like an actual like a combat action or something, but is there anything in particular you want to?
I was to draw my rapier and go and stab people.
Zibby, do you have any way of perhaps locating an object or something like that?
Not currently, no. If we could wait for 8 hours, I might be able to.
That might be a little long.
Rana says, sort of around to the mouthful of jerky, Rana says, perhaps Silaqui will have an idea.
It is at this moment that the party suddenly realise that Silaqui isn't with them.
Oh yeah, that one.
What? I thought it was quiet around here.
So Rana says, on that moment, Rana glances around, looking a bit sheepish, and says, where is Silaqui?
She went left, and we went right.
Rana nods, and then shakes his head slightly and says, I don't know what that means.
She head south, and we head north.
Rana sort of nods and says,
I don't know what that means.
I thought you didn't, to be honest, Percival. Yeah.
Rana nods and says, perhaps it would be good if she came back to meet us. Yes?
Perhaps.
You wait here and see if you can spy who it was we were following. I will be back shortly. I will find Silaqui.
Yes.
And then he turns to leave.
Don't get too distracted by, like, foods and things.
Rana immediately looks distracted because you used the word food, and then visibly gets a grip on himself, and then Rana heads out the door.
I love this side addition to the wild shape you've given. It's brilliant.
Into the lobby and heads outside, where Rana has something he would like to do.
The receptionist will sort of give you a bit of a nervous sort of bow and a muttered apology as you head out the door. We will stick, however, with Zibby and Percival, as there's still not really been a decision on. Are you guys just going to wait in the changing room for the person to come out?
Do you have any ideas, Zibby?
Zibby stops his sort of as he's sort of taking his boots off. He's like, I thought we'd go in there and just make sure they don't leave.
Very well. And I shall disrobe.
We're going to look a bit weird if we just hang about in the changing rooms. I mean...
No, that's fine. No. Then again, I mean, I've heard that some people... No, maybe not. And Percival starts getting undressed as well and gets one of the small towels, the very, very tiny ones, and puts it around his waist.
Zibby doesn't worry about the towel. As Zippy's got a really big beard, do you think Zippy could hide his dagger in his beard?
I thought it was a hammer.
Do you mean? I was going to say your metaphorical dagger or your actual dagger?
To like tie it up, like his ponytail type thing with his beard.
Do you mean a thong? It's literally called a thong, isn't it? Do you mean
basically?
Do you think Zippy could use his thong to hide his dagger?
Do you have a thong for your beard? Because I've got the feeling you've always
presumably.
Well, I don't know, because all your artwork I think has all got like just a free flowing beard.
Yeah, he's got plaits as well.
Well, no, he's got braids and things in his beard.
Give me a sleight of hand. Because I feel like it's going to be a sleight of hand to hide it in there.
Well, yes, presumably, as long as he doesn't move too fast.
You can do it at advantage because it's not exactly like you're actually trying to hide it from anybody. So you can take like a couple of minutes to try and get it in.
Well, I'm trying to hide it from somebody who just sees me, but I'm not trying to hide it from somebody who's watching me.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm giving you advantage, because it's not that it's a dexterity based thing rather than a actually hiding it from somebody thing.
Percival's there and he's like, I can still see it.
I knew I should have put sleight of hand. I knew I should have put sleight of hand as one of the things I had advantage on.
Right. I can give you assistance with it if I'm actually saying.
Well, no, not advantage, but I mean, sleight of hand is one of the things I could have as
proficiencies.
I think a criminal background, which I haven't actually got proficiency. So
So first of all, the whole helping him out is encountered is like encompassed in the bonus.
It's very helpful.
That's fair.
Yep.
I rolled a 6 and an 11.
6 and 11. Okay, so there's a moment you like initially put it in, and you're like, oh yes, that'll be good. You take a step, and it just falls out, and then you're just kind of with a bit of help from Percival, which you feel a bit chagrined at, but you manage to get it sort of workably tight. Whether or not anybody will notice that it's in there is another matter entirely.
Maybe that's just where he keeps his dagger normally. Maybe it's just a normal thing.
In fairness, you don't actually know what the policy of the bathhouse is regarding like weapons going into the bathhouse. Like, they're perfectly happy for you to walk into the bathhouse with weapons. You just don't actually know what they feel about.
What if anybody notices? If he turns to the person and goes, "Hey, if anybody says, 'Excuse me, why have you got a dagger stuck in your beard?' I'm saying, I'm his bodyguard. You think I'm going to come in here unarmed?"
I thought you were going to say it was a toothpick.
How else am I meant to clean my nails?
Was it? I can either hit you with this or stab you with this.
Zibby, put your hammer down.
I was going to say I don't want to know what the other thing was. Anyway, right, okay. So
it's my fist. Obviously,
will put all of his weapons to one side. Like, he'll put them in the area that it's meant to be.
So you do actually.
Presumably, we have lockers.
Yeah, that is the thing. You do actually have like a locker system, so you do kind of have like a little compartment you can put things away in. So you don't have to worry on that front.
Yep.
Zippy has to pick one of the tall ones to fit his hammer in.
Anyway, moving on. That takes you a little while, given the whole amount of time it takes to take off and the finagling with Zibby's dagger. Which in my head, I now just have a mental image of just Percival and Zibby just starkers, just like fiddling around with Zibby's beard,
and Zibby walking a little bit stiff necked, like trying to like.
Zibby,
I can't move it.
How do you get your beard so soft?
It's a special blend of herbs and spices.
When the dagger falls out, well, I'm not bending down for it.
You've dropped something.
See if you can hide this somewhere.
Well, hang on. Nature's pocket.
Before you step in, Christ. We will cut back to Silaqui, who by this point has wandered out across the spanning bridge. Are you going to head on down towards the Giggling Squid then, Silaqui? I got the impression that you were
so she'll
headed
go
that
left.
way.
She knows that area, so it's a little bit more familiarity to go that way. And people know her there.
You can roll me another perception check if you'd like.
All right then.
Nah.
Not so good. So that would be 11.
11. Okie dokes. This slightly creeping feeling of being watched doesn't really leave you, but you do feel sort of a bit more calm as you sort of look around. You know, you've not seen anything particularly worrisome, and there's a bit more hustle and bustle down here, given that this is the sort of street food vendor kind of area. There's a little bit more. There's, you know, a couple of tabaxi minstrels here and there. You start to sort of wonder a little bit to yourself, you know, just kind of like, was that person watching me? I mean, they looked shifty. That's why I chased them. But you're unsure. For all intents and purposes, you're pretty certain you have lost your quarry. You certainly, where you are, you don't think you can see any sign of somebody that might be looking out for you or have been running away from you. You head on down, and I assume you're just going to head straight on into the Giggling Squid?
Well, at least around the area, the front area of it, while she tries to think what she should do, just in case the rest of them are looking for her. She doesn't want to kind of be out of sight completely, but at the same time, she's aware that she just felt like something's potentially watching her, that she doesn't want to just go straight out on her own again. So if she's hanging around sort of on, you know, just outside the Giggling Squid where people are and things, then she's going to...
Yeah, somewhere public, but not necessarily, you know, with an aim or as such.
Yeah.
Thank you, thanks. Are you particularly trying to blend in, or are you're just keeping an eye out?
I was just keeping an eye out. Is there anybody around the Giggling Squid that she recognises, that she's seen, like, from who knows she is? You know, that from the celebration night and things like that. Is there anybody that...
There is no one in particular. No one strikes you as a recognisable figure. There's probably like a couple of people here and there that you probably recognise as regular patrons of the Giggling Squid.
Yeah.
There's possibly one or two men that were a little bit too flirty with you the evening that you guys got back from defending the throne. They're probably there. They'd be all too happy to have a chat with you. Probably not even realising who you are, but they'd still want to chat. But yeah, there's no one major.
Okay, in that case, she's just going to hang around outside for a bit. She doesn't really want to get into convos with strange men.
Just going to have a good old lurk.
Yeah.
Right, so we will leave you loitering outside the Giggling Squid for the moment, Silaqui. Rana, you have just walked out of the bathhouse, and you have been told that Silaqui went left, and that apparently she went... now, remind me here, John, did you say that she went north and you guys went south, or was it the other way?
No, the other way. We went north, she went south.
You went north, she went south. Okay, so... that makes sense. Right. So, Rana, you step out of the bathhouse, you sort of presumably have a quick glance around. There's no sign of Silaqui anywhere. What are you going to do?
Rana turns to the nearest gutter and starts hunting for a rat.
All right. Roll me probably a survival, I guess. And I'm going to have you make it a disadvantage because you've not exactly hunted in the city before, particularly.
So that was annoying. That looked like it stopped on 16, but then it carried on.
That wasn't. Was that a survival check?
That was a survival check, yes.
That is an 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry. You have a good look, but as far as you can tell, you can't really turn up a nice juicy rat. You do, however, find yourself a gecko. It does look on the thin side, though.
Rana looks at the gecko and he has flashbacks. And he just mutters under he just shakes his head and just mutters city lizards in Charlton. And he notes the location of the gecko and he pointedly quickly glances around and is genuinely irritated that the gecko is the only animal available, because he intrinsically distrusts any creature that can lick its own eyeballs. And he's also slightly jealous of that creature. So what Rana does Rana reaches up into his teeth and he picks out a little morsel of sort of half-tube jerky, which is important because a morsel of food is stated as a component in the animal messenger spell.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
And holding, you see what I did there. And concentrating.
You've got an arcane focus, so you don't actually need it, but still.
I know. But
it's probably going to win favour with if he gives it food as well.
It's thematic.
I know.
And so, and what Ron will do is Ron will cast Animal Messenger, focusing on the gecko. So he'll flick the morsel of food, tip his finger towards the gecko. He'll mutter, he'll sort of he does various things. There's a brief sort of shimmer, a brief sort of almost like a glow, like foxfire, almost sort of runs over one hand for a second, and a plume of sort of iridescent sort of green mist just puffs out between his lips briefly, and he casts Animal Messenger. And I'll describe the spell because I'm not sure if it's one that people have used before. It says, by means of this spell, you use an animal to deliver a message. Choose a tiny beast that you can see within range, and it gives various examples. And then you basically specify a location. Now, I'm going to specify a direction on the and just tell the animal to go in that direction until it sees someone who matches the description. And if they find them, great. If they don't, and then basically you can give a description.
Yep.
You can also speak a message of up to 25 words. The target beast travels for the duration of the spell towards the specified location, covering 50 miles per 24 hours for a flying messenger, or 25 miles for another animal. Now,
I'm reading this at the same time as you are.
So the interesting thing is if the gecko doesn't find Silaqui, it's going to climb out the wall and end up in the jungle. And Rana likes this because then the city lizard will learn what it's like to be a proper lizard and live in the jungle where it's supposed to be. As Rana speaks the spell and is composing the message in his head, he ponders briefly on the idea of charming all city lizards and putting them back in the jungle irresistibly where they belong.
I'm sorry, I have to roll this. Hold on a second, bear with me. Yeah, as you're contemplating all of this, a closer inspection of the gecko reveals that it is in fact the same gecko that you spoke to. You realise you recognise the patterning on its back.
Rana's smile takes a distinctly predatory edge as he casts the spell. It describes Silaqui. Basically just giving the description of her height and what she's wearing and things as per description of the spell.
Well, he's seen her before.
He has seen her before.
He has, yes. Indeed, he's watched her sleep.
Indeed, yeah, I say, he knows.
Pervert.
And so, and he says, he basically, the message he wishes to convey is, Silaqui, this message is from Rana. We are at the Bathhouse. Come if you can, but be safe. Which is under 25 words, God's counting it out as I said it. And then, it basically says, when the messenger arrives, it confusingly and terrifyingly delivers the message, I'm assuming in a manner which is somehow understood.
In the sound of his voice, yeah.
It's in the sound of your voice. I genuinely thought it was going to just like hold up one little foot, grab out a little chalkboard and start sketching out a message. So yes, I will do that.
It replicates the sound of your voice.
But still, this tiny little lizard with a Rana voice.
I will point off in the direction
south.
South, yes. Down that street, and I will say, go now. And then I'll wait until the gecko's out of sight, and then when it's disappeared sort of down the street, Rana will mutter in Cholton, half of me wishes that the lizard does not find her. And he smiles, a slightly grim smile, and then turns around and walks back into the bathhouse.
All right, yep, sure. That is incredible.
I was just wondering if Rana gave him the wrong description to ensure that he can't find her and goes to...
Well, Rana went as far as all of a couple of steps outside the bathhouse to find Silaqui, you know?
That is the extent of my searching ability.
I'll send the lizard that knows I'm pissed at it. It's really skinny looking. Yeah, that'll do.
Yes,
that's amazing.
I'm now in the background. Whilst other people do their various actions, I'm going to frantically be trying to think of a title for this episode that's going to involve a lizard in some fashion.
If you knew what was running through my head of the various possibilities I can do with a randomly thrown out gecko.
I'll be honest. It's one of those things where when like 6 episodes ago, when we were starting to do information-based stuff in the city, I swapped up my spells to have Animal Messenger because I was like, oh, that could be really useful, because I was like, I could even use it if we were trying to find someone. I could describe the person and I could use the animal to like scare the hell out of them or something. And I've been clinging onto it in my spell slot for nearly 2 months now. Just like, there's going to be a use for this. I swear. Even when we were chasing the dude down previously, I said, "Do I see the animals?" And rolled a terrible check. And everyone was just like,
"Oh, is that why you asked?"
That's why I did it, because I was going to use the messenger. I was going to describe what the guy in the cloak looked like, and I was going to use the messenger basically to put the fear of God into him, or try and throw him off, or make him stop, or freak out.
We will find you.
Yes, something like that. But obviously, I then failed my inspiration-based perception check with the +2 with the +5. So yeah, there we go.
That's incredible. I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Right.
That's me.
The gecko, as you say, wanders off on its merry journey. God knows where it will go. Godspeed, friendly gecko. We don't even have a name for this gecko. I will have to find a silly and stupid name for. Yeah.
Clive.
Anyway.
Clive. Gordon.
Clive the gecko.
First to be known by Godzilla.
Godzuki. It's canon.